I'm on here tonight to share with you my favorite quote and why it's what I live by. So, if you are watching this live, I will encourage you to say hello so I can say hi back to you. And if you are watching this on the replay, just hashtag replay so I can come back here later and say hi to you then. So I hope you guys are having an awesome evening. Before we get started, if you are watching this on Facebook, I encourage you to go over to YouTube and press the subscribe button and the bell to receive notifications every time I come live so that you don't miss a thing. And so, my favorite quote and why it's words that I live by. So, I do have lots of favorite quotes. I am kind of a quote junkie, but I wanted to come on here and share with a more recent one that is more in alignment with my current life and my journey and stuff like that. So the quote is from Brené Brown. If you don't know about Brené Brown, you should definitely, I highly suggest reading her books and she has TED Talks and all sorts of lovely things. And she's a brilliant woman. So anyway, her quote is, vulnerability is not winning or losing. It's having the courage to show up when you can't control the outcome. So those are a lot. It's very powerful words. It's super relevant to my current journey and where I am at my life, and it just really resonates with me and really makes me think about on the times in our lives when we are going through growth or we're going through change. It can seem really mucky and you can seem really mixed emotions about it, and it can feel really hard. But in the long term, when you look at any time that you've had to be vulnerable, that you will notice that you can't control the outcome often. It's things that you don't have control over on how things are going to turn out. And so in the book that this is from, I've lost half my light here. That's okay. So the thing is that it's so in the book, I think even my laptop's dying now. Everything's dying, you guys. Hold on. Oh, I think it's because my light is shining in my laptop. Hold on. I can't see my cursor. Oh, there, I can. Oh my goodness. I probably need to plug my laptop in soon. Anyway, so in the book where this quote is from, Daring Greatly, it's about having courage to be vulnerable in a world where everyone wants to appear strong, confident, and like they know what they're doing. So that is often what people want. They want to feel confident and seem confident and strong and that they know what they're doing. But often we don't know all those things, right? So and the biggest thing is we can't control the outcome of these things. When we're in vulnerable situations, we don't know what's going to happen. So, and when we're embracing vulnerability, it means that we're being courageous. And so, another to kind of take away from that book, if you are interested in reading it, is she kind of goes over how it's a lot easier to avoid things that make you feel vulnerable rather than lean into them. But that also means that we're missing out on a lot of good things. So I wanted to give you guys a couple examples of how this quote is relevant to me in my current life and my journey, and how I think it's all a lesson that we can all take away and a kind of embrace as we move forward in our lives, right? So I guess the most recent thing that I'm having to be vulnerable towards is that away from my current role at the school, and I am doing my business full time. So that seems super scary to me because I can't control the outcome. I don't know how successful my business is going to be. I can't control a lot of what happens. Like, I can do my best to put forward all the things that I want to put out into the world and hope that I get a return on those things. But it's definitely a situation where I don't have control over the outcome. And so that is showing vulnerability, which is scary, right? And it's super scary to be in those situations where you have to be vulnerable. And I think the biggest takeaway from feeling that way is knowing that that is how we grow, that is how we become the best versions of ourselves, and being vulnerable means being courageous, and that is how we can show up for life as our best selves. So another kind of instance that I've had to be vulnerable and without knowing the outcome of what's going to happen is, we've all had to be vulnerable in all of our lives, right? Like whether it's relationships, it might be getting married, it might be getting pregnant, it might be moving to a new town. Like all these things are scary, and you don't really know the outcome of either, if you get married, whether your marriage is going to last, if you have kids, whether you can have kids, or whether you have an easy pregnancy or not, whether you're talking about moving to a new place, whether you like it there, whether you make new friends, whether you find a job. Like there's all these things that we have to show up with vulnerability in our lives in order to grow and actually experience these good things in our lives that come out of being vulnerable, right? So kind of another couple tips or a couple reasons why this quote is so important to me is that it's been really important for me to kind of realize that you have to put yourself out there, and being vulnerable kind of does set you up for potentially amazing things. Like, for example, applying for a job that I wasn't qualified for is scary because you're not guaranteed that you're going to get that job. However, if you do get that chance to have that job and you succeed in it, then you do feel really good about putting yourself out there. And more recently, like in my business of kind of helping women to see self-love at any size, that had to put me in a vulnerable position of sharing my own personal journey and how I have felt in my own self-love journey, and kind of embracing my body and all these things. That takes vulnerability too, because it's not always comfortable to share the parts of your story that aren't so positive, or the parts of your life that were darker, right? And I feel like a lot of our journeys, we have to be in the darkness in order to see the light. And that's how a lot of us, we all have our stories. We all have our stories of darkness and our stories that have made us who we are today, right? And how we can just learn from those things and learn that those were actually vulnerable moments that have allowed us to step into courageous parts of our lives and experience all these wonderful things, right? So and then like another example is when I took my yoga teacher training. That was a super vulnerable moment for me because as a plus size woman, I felt very vulnerable in thinking that, okay, I'm going to take this teacher training and then no one's going to want to come to my classes because of my size, and they're going to not want to learn from me. So having those kind of negative limiting beliefs in my head didn't help. And then it also it made me to step out of those comfort zones and be vulnerable in owning my journey and stepping into that position of, I'm putting myself out there and see what happens, right? Like maybe it'll be a good outcome, maybe it won't. And it has been. Like I've been teaching yoga for 8 years, and it's been such an important part of my life. So yeah, that's kind of just a little bit of, I wanted to share that quote with you just because it really resonates with me in my current life, and maybe it's something that resonates with you too. So once again, I'll read it just in case you didn't catch it the first time. So it's a quote by Brené Brown from her book Daring Greatly, and it's vulnerability is not winning or losing, it's having the courage to show up when you can't control the outcome. So those are awesome words to live by if we can just learn to have the courage to show up without knowing the outcome of what's going to happen. Yeah, so a couple things before I head out of here, you guys. If you guys are wanting to learn more about how my business is helping women to find self-love at any size, I have a couple different ways that you can work with me. I have 3 different Find Your Magic courses that are focusing on self-love, whether it be having to do with journaling, yoga, meditations, crystals, mindful eating, all of these kind of tools and practices that have helped me to find self-love at my size and at any size. And I hope to help more people with that. So if those are any of those things or something you're interested in, the link to my website is in the comment or in the description of this video. So you can take a look at there, and all these things are kind of helping you to come from a place of potentially self-hate to self-love, and all through different holistic approaches. You know, the mindful eating is going to help you to heal your relationship with food, making peace with food, along with nice quick 10-minute yoga practices throughout your day. The crystal course is just any beginner person who's wanting to kind of have crystals a part of their self-love or self-care routines. That's an awesome little course. And then the self-love through journaling course is taking you through, what is it, 8 weeks of different journaling prompts, daily prompts to kind of help you with your confidence, your mindset, your forgiveness, your boundaries, all these things that kind of help us to discover who we are and step into our light and be vulnerable by trying these new things to help us with our journeys. So there's that. And then I am taking names for my Self-Love Through the Chakras coaching program that's going to be starting this fall. I have 5 spots left in the program. So if this is a program that kind of sounds interesting to you, we kind of do a 7-week program that's focused on self-love through the chakras. So we look at our 7 chakras and how those energetic centers of our body are going to help us with our self-love journeys. And we're going to be doing that through a lot of different holistic approaches to help us to just step into our light and step into our power and become those versions of ourselves that can find self-love at any size and just love and embrace who we are. So if you are wanting a spot in that program, just let me know and I will add you to the list. And yeah, that's kind of all I had to chat to you guys about tonight, and shared that quote with you. So please share your favorite quote in the comments. I always love reading everyone else's quotes and what they find inspiring and motivating, and words that they like to live by. So please share your comments, share your favorite quote in the comments. I'll be looking forward to hearing about them. So anyway, you guys, I'm going to head out of here. I hope you guys have the best night, and we will talk to you again.